Hello and welcome back to Office Hours with Dr. Kola. In today's Office Hours catch up, I am going to be talking about two main things. One is solo parenting or single motherhood, as well as the dangers of not being able to keep up with an identity that you've created online in real life. So if you're interested in how those two things relate to one another, or my thoughts on those two things, definitely keep on watching. So I don't remember what exactly I shared in my last office hours video, which I should have double checked before I started this one, but we're here now. But for the past 3 weeks, I have been solo parenting my son, who is going to be 2 next month. Can you imagine? I almost have a 2-year-old. What? So crazy. And I say solo parenting because it is temporary. It was just for 3 weeks, although it felt like 3 years. My husband is in Kenya, and he spent the past couple of weeks in Kenya getting some stuff on the ground for his business. And so I didn't want to be apart from my son. So I decided to bring him to Indiana, keep him in Indiana while Jonathan went back home to Kenya. And so, wow. Yeah, the past couple of weeks have been really challenging. And I knew it was going to be hard, right? I really tried to prepare for his arrival. I knew that I would have a lot less time to myself, not just for my own personal well-being and self-care, but really for the different business and work things that I do. And so I tried to get a lot of stuff done in September and the first half of October when I still had help when Jonathan was here, but I wasn't able to get everything done. And so, I think one of the biggest things that I realized is that a large reason why I have in the past been able to do all the different things that I did, was able to do blogging, was able to do cohort systems, was able to do research and academic work, was because I had such a strong support system of other people who could take care of my child and watch him and nurture him. And without that supportive system, not that I took for granted, but I didn't recognize how critical a system of support was, not only in raising a child, but in terms of my own sanity, right? And so before this time, when we were in Kenya, not only were Jonathan and I both working at home, also I wasn't working a postdoc, so I was doing 2 things instead of 3 things, but we were both at home together so we could share responsibilities that way. But we also had a all day long, a daytime nanny who would be there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and who was really the primary caregiver of our son during the workday hours. And that is obviously no longer the case in the US. And so one of the things is that someone has to actually physically take him to daycare, and that person is me because I'm the only one here. So, getting him ready in the morning, getting him out of the house to daycare really takes away an hour of my time in the morning. I did not account for how much time I would spend getting out of the house with this child. So there's 1 hour less in the morning for me to get anything done. Really from 8 o'clock to, actually let's say 2 hours. From 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock is really just getting him up, getting him dressed, and getting him to daycare, and then driving back to daycare. And then in the evening hours, once he's picked up around 5, from 5 until he goes to bed at 8, those 3 hours there, that is time that I need to be fully dedicated to him. So that's really 5 fewer hours a day that I have to do work, times 5 days a week. That's 25 hours times a month is 100 less hours that I have had to get stuff done for the past 3 weeks. Let's say 75, 25 hours times 3, 75 hours, which means 1, a lot of stuff just hasn't gotten done. And secondly, I've been up until 2, 3, 4. I was up until 5:30 in the morning the other day, and I was like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous and insane. But I thought, why did I even do this in the first place? Let me backtrack a little bit, because there was a moment about a week into this solo thing where I had a scare. He was feverish after a bath, very shivering, and he was super sleepy, and I just freaked out. I was like, what is wrong with him? He never is he still wants to play after bath time. He wants to read, he wants to play. And so for him to be incredibly sleepy and also be shivering, that really freaked me out. Everything turned out to be fine, but that was an eye-opening experience and a wake-up call, because I was on the phone with my mom. She said something that just kind of like really struck me. So she was like, ooh, the light keeps changing. Oh wow, that is so bright. My mom was like, okay, if he doesn't stop shaking, you should take him to his doctor. And I was thinking like, he doesn't have a doctor in South Bend. We just got here. Like, why are we here? Like, why did I bring my child here to Indiana? And part of it was because, yeah, I missed him, but I think I realized that me by myself with him, that might be what's best for me in terms of like feeling like I'm attached to my child, but it's actually just not what's best for his own development. I think what's best for children is for them to be with both of their parents in a loving, healthy relationship. But if that's not the case, like they should be where they can thrive. And I don't know if he can thrive in Indiana because daycare, I complain about daycare all the time, but daycare is, the kid is just always sick. He's always sick at daycare. He will go Monday through Friday, will have a runny nose on Tuesday, will be coughing Wednesday through Friday, will feel better, you know, Saturday, Sunday, like when he's home for the weekend, and then go back and like same thing all over again, like rinse and repeat. So I just feel like it's making him sick. And obviously he needs to be around children so that he can build up immunity, etc. But the poor kid has not had a runny nose for the past month. And I feel so bad for him. Another reason why I felt like I wanted to do it was, which kind of leads me into something else I want to talk about, was, you know, there's so many women who are single mothers, right? This is not new. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon, whether people are single mothers by choice, by circumstance, by unfortunate situation. There are a lot of single mothers in the world, right? And even the day I posted about, you know, how I was solo parenting and how like it was rough for me, you know, someone commented that they are a single mom of 4 kids. And I really wanted to prove to myself that if other people could single parent, that I could also single parent. And I think it's a really dangerous mentality to have when you're comparing your life to other people, which is like, we know this, right? We shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people. But I think especially comparing your suffering to other people's suffering is just weirdly unnecessary, like grossly unnecessary. And so just because someone else, you know, is single parenting 4 kids and is surviving doesn't mean that I needed to subject myself to solo parenting. And what I mean by subjecting myself is like, he doesn't have to be here. He could have spent time with my parents in New Jersey who are semi-retired and have said countless times that they're more than glad to watch him and to have him stay with them. I could have asked my mom and my dad to come to Indiana and stay with us for a few weeks. My mom offered that several times. She said, you know, if you ever need me, just call me. I called her and asked for help, and then I like withdrew it and retracted it the next day. He could be in Kenya with other grandma and auntie and the nanny and his dad. And so we have options. But I feel like I was kind of subjecting him to my own experimentation of like, to prove that I could be a single mother while still doing all of the other things that I'm doing. And the truth is, where I am right now in life, like I'm just juggling a lot of different things. And if I am not the person giving my son a bath and feeding him all his meals and, you know, taking him to activities over the weekend, that doesn't mean that I am not a good mom. And I have finally come to terms with that it's okay that in this season that I'm currently in right now, that I am focusing. And when I decided to do this postdoc, when I decided to move back to the US, it was really so that I could get my academic career jump-started. But it's okay to recognize that means that I just am not gonna be a like physically present mom in the way that I want to be right now. But it's much better for me to have him have a great childhood and have him like have the best possible life that he can, as opposed to keeping him here with me, like, and we're both struggling. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to like have a struggling mom when he can just be happy elsewhere and thriving elsewhere. So it took me a while to kind of come to terms with that, but I definitely like wanted to prove that I could do it. I wanted to be strong and be resilient and do all the things, but it just is not and was not possible. It just was not possible whatsoever. it just wasn't possible. And I've come to terms with that, and it's okay. Y'all, therapy has like really helped in so many levels. I just had my session for the week this morning, and I already said this on Instagram, but I don't think I've said it on YouTube. Like, if you can go to therapy, please try and do so. Even if you don't feel like anything is wrong. I didn't necessarily feel like anything was wrong. I was stressed. And I probably wasn't going to sleep on time, but more for preventative measures. Like, I want to be the best wife, the best mom, the best boss, the best scholar, researcher, friend that I can be, sister that I can be. And so why not go on a journey of self-improvement? And that's really all I see therapy as. It's like, I want to know myself better so that I can improve myself. And you know, there's probably something to be said about like our current generation's fascination with like self-improvement and self-discovery. And like, maybe we should just be content and like not always trying to be better, but you know, whatever, we'll keep that aside for now. I do love the ability to just be in constant reflection and just trying to be a more whole, more centered, more present person. And so it's helped me tremendously. And so I would recommend it for you. And what else is hard about, I mean, if anyone else is a single mom, you know what's hard about single motherhood. Oh, something I want to talk about. The fact that, okay, look at my nails. Look at my nails. Like, I have not had a chance. I'm going actually right after this video. I have to go during the day because when else am I gonna go get my nails done? So I'm gonna get my nails done. I'm getting my hair done tomorrow during the day. But it's so hard to take care of yourself if you are the primary, not even primary, the sole caretaker of somebody else. And that's probably not restricted to kids. If you are the sole caretaker of someone who's elderly, you know, this probably impacts you as well. But I have not done anything for myself. That's not true. I wrote in my journal last night for like an hour and that felt good. But I've done very, very little for myself because all of my energy, all of my care, all of the care atoms in my body have been going to this other person, which is not good. It's not good. It's not good for your physical health. Have I exercised in a month? Absolutely not. I haven't even gone for like a long walk, which I used to do all the time. But I haven't done that because I just don't have energy to, because like by the time he is situated, I'm just like, let me just sit down somewhere. Oh, but I can't sit down because I actually have these other 7 things that need to get done today, right? And so yeah, just want to kind of acknowledge the danger, not the danger, but how not having other people to rely on to like distribute the workload of caregiving for a child can impact your own ability to care for yourself. And that's kind of like how I'm starting to feel. Again, I'm getting my nails done shortly. I'm getting my hair done tomorrow. My mom is coming tonight. You know, the rest of the family is coming in like 3 days. And so it's all, we're at the finish line. I'm at the finish line, but it has definitely been really rough. And the second thing I wanted to talk about, which kind of ties into the first, is, you know, what happens when you can't keep up with the persona that you've developed online in real life. And what I mean by that is, I feel like I've reached the point where I have built a digital brand and a personal brand that is really centered around this idea of me being a person who like does all the things. And that has been kind of like a key differentiating factor of like my content since I was in graduate school. For early on, it was like, you know, how I balance grad school and blogging, and like how I run a blogging business with a full team while also doing my PhD. And then like how I'm like a wife and also blogging and also in school. And then when I finish school, it's like how I'm juggling motherhood and marriage and blogging and other stuff and like cohort sisters. And so this idea that I'm like juggling all the things and doing them all well has been part of my brand. And it's not a lie. I do a lot of different things, and I like to do a lot of different things. I'm multi-passionate, and that's all good and well. But I think that sometimes, or at least let me just speak for myself, I feel like I had kind of let that identity now shape my behavior as opposed to like letting my behavior shape the identity, if that makes sense. So because I was known of and had presented myself as somebody who juggles all the things and balances them all well, and have written like several different articles about this topic, I now felt that in my real life I had to continue juggling different things as opposed to being okay with like letting something sit down and just be for a little bit while I focus on some other stuff. And so like that's part about solo parenthood and single motherhood, temporary single motherhood, is part of that too. So, you know, from August and September, I actively mothering. I didn't have my child present, and I felt like the identity of mom slash doctor slash nonprofit exec slash researcher slash blogger, the mom part had fallen off because I wasn't momming on a day-to-day basis. And so I felt like, well, I'm not juggling all these things that I said I could juggle and would juggle. And so I decided to have my son stay with me, even though my partner wasn't gonna be here anymore, so that I could continue. I mean, not the only reason, but I think one of the reasons is so I could prove that I could juggle everything, because that is my brand. That is a key part of my brand. And maybe if you, actually, I would love to know, now that we're here, I would love to know how you see my brand. If you have been a long time, or not even a long time, if you're someone who has watched several videos or followed me on other social media platforms or read my blog for some time, I would love to know how you perceive me, because maybe my perception of myself is completely off, that could totally happen as well. But I feel like I have presented a persona, not a false one, but an identity that it really hinges on the ability to balance a lot of different things. And so I wanted to show that I could do that, and bring motherhood back into the fold. And then I was struggling internally. No one saw externally that I was struggling, but I was struggling internally. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there, because and hopefully people have moved past this, but I think that when you're creating content online, you have to be really careful about the stories that you tell about yourself, because then you have to keep that up in real life. So if you, on a very superficial level, but say you have a beauty mark, say you have a beauty mark right here on your cheek, and you edit it out in every single picture that you post online, then in real life, you're gonna be you're gonna be bothered about the fact that you have this beauty mark on your face, because what the identity you've created online doesn't match up with your real life. Hopefully that kind of brought the point home. But outside of physical things, if you are presenting yourself as, someone who wakes up early in the morning all the time, and you're waking up at 4 a.m. and journaling and doing exercises and doing whatever else weird people do at 4 a.m. because there's no reason to be up that early, then you kind of have to keep that going in real life. Otherwise, then you're just kind of fake online. So I say all that to say that I have now realized that I think I've pushed the persona of juggling everything a little bit too far for myself, and to the point where I now didn't feel like I could relax in one area, or I could put something on hold, because I felt like I had to juggle everything. And so for me, the things that I'm juggling are 3 different kinds of work: blogging, cohort sisters, teaching, and scholarship, as well as being a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend, as well as trying to have peace for myself, right? And so juggling all of those things, for a second, motherhood took a back seat. I don't want it to take a back seat. My son is old enough now that, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm glad it came back to me. I think my son is a lot older now and more active, and so it's a lot more difficult to be as present with him as I want to be, because he actually knows what's going on and is actually talking to me, as opposed to a year ago, he was just a baby. You could strap him on and then continue doing whatever it is that you wanted to do. But now things take a little bit more planning and involvement. And so I want to be being an active mom is incredibly important to me, but that means that something else has got to give. Something else has got to give. And so I have been doing a lot of thinking about what's got to give, and something is gonna give. And not be given up, but just fall back. Just fall back. And so I'll be sharing when I'm ready to share. I'll share. But those are some thoughts on kind of the idea of being the kind of person who juggles everything. And remember to not compare yourself to people online. I did that with the whole single motherhood thing. I hope people don't do that with thinking about how I balance and juggle everything, because I wasn't sleeping. That's how I juggled everything. I did not sleep, and that's not healthy. That's not good. Those are my thoughts for today. I am probably now late for this nail appointment. That is correct. I'm now late. Good thing it's just 5 minutes away, but I was supposed to be there a minute ago. So I will log off. Thank you so much for listening, tuning in to today's office hours chit chat. I have a couple more videos coming up and around the house. I got some house videos coming up, and then I am heading back to Kenya later on in the year, so I'm very excited about that. So excited to be back in Kenya. I'm gonna do some other fun traveling too as well. So make sure that you stay tuned for all of those adventures. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.